All right, good evening, everyone. This is Brandon with BiggerPockets, and we're going to get started here right about now. But could you guys do me a quick favor and let me know you can hear me okay? In the chat area, let me know if you can hear me. There's always a little bit of sound techie issues to work out here. If you hear a little girl in the background, that is my little girl, Rosie, being very vocal and awesome today. She's my little 11-month-old. Actually, today is her 11-month-old birthday, which is kind of awesome. Hey, what's up, everyone? Hey, people are here. Good. Oh, I was going to start reading off names, but there's a ton of people. Wade, Tech. Hey, what's up, Tech? What's up, Philip, Pam, Della, Jason, Tammy? Good, you guys can hear me. Hello, everybody. All right, so we're going to get started here in just 1 minute. We'll get like 1 more minute for everyone to get in here. I know some people run late and have a little bit of tech trouble. So in the meantime, let me introduce myself. My name is Brandon. I am the co-host of the BiggerPockets podcast, which many of you guys have heard before. And I am an active real estate investor. I love real estate, and I love evaluating and making offers on rental properties. Like I'm a big rental property guy. I'm a big firm believer that if you want to get deals, you've got to go over there and you got to hustle to do it. So with that, what's up, everyone? Where are you all from? Let me know where you guys are all from. Let me know where you guys are all from in the world. And like I said, we'll get started here in about 1 more minute. What's up, Doug? What's up, Robin? What's up, John? Yo. Dan from Arizona. Hey, what's up? Wow, there we go. All right, New York, Philly. All right, we got lots of places. Very cool. Alrighty. Hey, I saw South Korea. That's a long ways away. Not North Korea. That'd be a little different. All right. There's Germany. That's a long ways away. You guys know where I am? Many of you guys have been on the webinar recently or listened to a recent BiggerPockets podcast. I'm actually in Hawaii right now. I decided to book a month-long trip to Hawaii because I really wanted to learn how to surf. And I've been wanting to learn that for a while. So I just decided, why not just learn it in one big month? So that's what I'm doing right now. But today's webinar obviously is not about me. Today is about you and about how we can help you guys get more rental properties. If you guys are looking to buy your first, your second, your third, your fifth, whatever it is you're looking to do, we want to help you with that. And so today, again, we're talking about specifically how to evaluate and how to offer on rental properties. So let's get this thing started. Welcome. Like I said, I'm super excited you guys are here. It's a topic that I'm very, very passionate about. You probably know that about me if you listen to the podcast or come to other webinars, but I love analyzing deals, looking at them. And that's what we're talking about today. And I'm going to try to, this might get a little bit confusing for some people today because analyzing deals, if you've never done it before, might get a little bit overwhelming, but I want to encourage you guys just to I guess, pay as much attention as you possibly can. I mean, if you got a lot of distractions going on, try to shut as many of them down because this information today is career saving or career making or career ruining if you don't know how to do this right. In other words, you can buy some really crappy properties if you don't know what you're doing analyzing. So that's why this is so important today. Today, what are you going to learn? Today, this is what my promise to you is. Today, I promise to teach you exactly how to analyze a rental property the same way I do it so you can determine how much you should offer. You guys know one of my favorite things about rental properties is this, that there is no like yes, no when it comes to a rental property. There is only how much. I'm going to say that again because it's very, very important. There is no yes, no. There's only how much. In other words, what I mean by that is every deal could be a deal at a certain price, right? So as an investor, my job is not to go and fall in love with a house and be like, oh, I really want that one. It's got such a cute kitchen and I love the pool, right? Like that's not my job. My job is simply to go out there, run numbers on every deal I can possibly find, and then like figure out what it's worth and then make them an offer based on that. Now, I don't make an offer on every deal I analyze, but my job is to find out how much a property is worth, and then I try to make that work. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. I'll look at the next deal and the next one and the next one. And so it takes all the emotion out. When you've got metrics to go by, it takes all the emotion out. Oh, of course, I'm at an Airbnb right now, and of course they're mowing the lawn right now. So if you guys hear a lawnmower, ignore it. All right. So again, I'm going to teach you guys how to analyze rental property, even if you aren't good at math, even if you don't have experience in real estate, even if you don't have any money to start with. Like if you're flat broke right now, like pay attention anyway. This stuff can help you get deals even if you don't have experience, you're not good at math, or even if you don't have money to start with. And if you don't know even how to find deals, we'll talk about that as well. So no matter what situation you're in and what kind of excuse you want to use in your life of why you can't invest, do me a favor, guys, for the next hour or so, take all that and just toss it out the window. Toss all your excuses, toss all your limiting beliefs out the window, and just listen to what I got to say. If you can analyze deals correctly, you can invest in real estate. I firmly believe that. I believe that the analyzing process is one of the most important things you can possibly learn. And later on, I'm also going to show you guys my 7 sneaky tricks, kind of like sneaky tricks, for improving the chance that your offer gets accepted. Look, I get a really high number of my offers accepted, and I get that because I know some kind of cool little tricky things. So stay tuned for that. We'll talk about that later. Actually, recently, one of those tips that I'm going to tell you guys later, I have 2 good friends that I know from church who wanted to buy a property to live in, like for their own home. And they kept getting outbid. There was so much competition, they couldn't get a deal. So I sat down and I told them, I said, hey, well, I think my wife did, but here's what we do. And I told them my tip. The next deal they went after, they got it. And they got it even though somebody else offered more. That's awesome, right? Like even though they got outbid, the seller ended up going with their offer because of my little tips. So you guys stay tuned for that. We'll talk about that later. Now, before we go into the actual details, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. First of all, the chat room is open to talk, but I am going to put it on private mode. In other words, if you type things to me, I'll see it, but everyone else won't. I'll open that up here in just a little bit. I just don't want it to get a little bit overwhelming with the chats that come in while we're talking. So that's first bit of housekeeping. Second thing, today's webinar is a little different. I've never done this before. I'm actually splitting today's webinar in 2 parts. Part 1, we're going to talk about deal evaluation. Part 2, we're going to talk about making offers. And I'm going to kind of split them into 2 distinct sections of today's webinar. Hopefully we get done here in an hour. I always try to shoot for an hour, but usually I go over a little bit. So clear the next hour and a half out of your schedule if you can. If you believe that analyzing deals is important and you believe that real estate is important for your financial future, I want to encourage you guys, just stick with this for a while, both parts, part 1 and part 2. Now, I mentioned it earlier, or maybe I didn't mention. Well, I mentioned it now. I actually created a worksheet, a 2-page worksheet to help you take the best notes from today's class. I remember college and high school, I used to not take very good notes and I never remembered most things. But when I took good notes, I remembered things and I was able to apply them better. And that's not just me, that's scientifically, that's what happens. When you take good notes, you remember more. And I know I talk a little bit quick and I know that it's easy to miss out on stuff. And so what I'm doing is I put these worksheets together just so you can go in and fill out all the most important things that I'm about to talk about today. Again, this is 100% free. I don't charge anything for it. I just know that if you guys want to use the stuff I'm talking about today, worksheets help. So download that at biggerpockets.com/426 worksheet. Now, also, I've got some bonuses like door prizes just for coming today. Just because you guys are awesome, I want to give you guys some door prizes just for showing up. So the first one I want to give you, and I want to encourage you not to read it now because it'll distract you, but you can download it now if you want, or download it later. This link will be good forever. What it is, it's the top 20 real estate books every investor should read. So what this is a guide I put together of all my favorite real estate books. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of real estate books out there, thousands and thousands and thousands. So I put together this guide. I'm like, hey, if you're not sure what to read next, start with these 20. And they're kind of divided into categories. Here's the flipping ones. Here's the rental ones. Here's the just getting started ones. So this guide will just kind of help you figure out which book you should buy. You can get it again by going to biggerpockets.com/books. But again, that link works all the time. So just jot that down on your worksheet and come back to it later. I'll mention that at the end of the webinar as well today. Now, I've got 2 more bonuses. I'm going to give you the entire slide deck from today's webinar. Every slide, so you can, if you don't get every part of your worksheet filled out, or you want to review this later, or you just think this is important, and trust me, you're going to think this is important. If you want to review it later, I'm going to give you that as well later on in today's webinar. And lastly, I'm going to give you a book that I wrote a couple years ago, an ebook called 7 Years to 7-Figure Wealth. Now, what this is it's a roadmap, a guide to earning your first $1 million by investing in small multifamily properties. And I know that sounds kind of full of hype, but what this book is just math. It's like, hey, if you did this in year 1, this in year 2, this in year 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, you could have $1 million in net worth through real estate, through something I call cash flow recycling. If you've never heard that term before, it's going to blow your mind. I'm going to give you guys that later again, so stick around for that. Now, today's agenda, I'll tell you real quick the humble truth about my real estate story. It's not quite what you think. Then we're going to go into part 1, deal analysis, the 5 stages of deal analysis, all 5 stages. After that, we're going to go do some real life deal analysis. In fact, you and I are going to go find a property together. I have not even found it yet. We're going to go look for one together on the market that's for sale right now. We're going to analyze it. We're going to determine, hey, what price point should we buy this property at? What price point should we buy this property? Where should we make an offer? After that, we'll talk real briefly about some of the pro tools that we offer here on BiggerPockets that can help you buy more deals. And specifically, I'm talking about our pro membership. Many of you guys are pro members already. If you're not a pro member, you may consider doing that. Maybe you think, hey, I think a pro membership will help me, and maybe not. But either way, I'm going to give you guys a little information on that because it ties in very, very closely with what we're talking about today. Mainly because as a pro member, you get access to our analysis software, which is incredible. But anyway, work through that. If you guys are thinking about it, just stick around for that. I'll actually give you guys a discount code during that time as well if you're interested. And after that, we're going to go into part 2, making offers. Specifically, I'm going to show you guys kind of the 2 different types of ways you can offer, whether somebody is offering, on a deal through a real estate agent or through something else. And then after that, we're going to go through the 5 sneaky tips for offering on real estate deals. These things are going to blow your mind. You're going to love this stuff. So, and then at the very end of this webinar, we'll do some Q&A. So get your questions ready. If you guys have questions throughout this, you can ask it in the Q&A area, like the chat area on the side. But I don't often read that because I'm, not very good at multitasking. So I would recommend if you have a good question, just jot it down on your worksheet. There's a little spot for notes at the end of it, or on a piece of paper, and ask it later. And I'll try to get to as many questions as I can. Now, a lot of you guys are wondering, why are we teaching this for free? What's the catch? Why are we doing this? Why are we not charging for this stuff? And here's the simple truth. BiggerPockets, which is the company, the largest real estate website on the planet. I'm the co-host of their podcast. And we are, our business model is very simple. We provide free education, or at most, you might pay for a book, $20 if you want to buy a book, or you can pirate it off the internet, whatever. We provide free education because we want to help you guys be successful. We want to help you go out there and buy more deals, achieve the financial freedom you're looking for, and then we monetize through tools. And so our idea is, hey, we're just going to teach you guys how to become super, super successful. And then when you're successful, that makes us successful. And so that's why we're doing this. We teach these webinars every single week. I do a new webinar every week. They're always live. And so we are live right now. If you're watching this on April 26th at 4 o'clock Pacific time anyway, 4:11 that is, this is live. And this is what we do because we believe that education should be free. You should be out there and you should learn whatever you want. If you want to buy a book again for $20, that's awesome. But that's why we're doing this. I want you guys to be successful. That is our goal here at BiggerPockets, is to help you become successful. Now, a little bit about me. My name is Brandon Turner. I'm an active real estate investor. I'm an active real estate investor. That's an example of a property I recently did. That property right there is a fourplex. That cash flows almost $1,000 a month. I have property management looking over it. I spend maybe 5 minutes a month working on that deal. And that one property is going to fund my entire daughter's college education someday. Amazing story. I can tell you guys later if you want to know more about it. That's my wife and I. We do this together. We are very much partners in crime in this. We're standing in front of our 24-unit property right there. We bought that 24-unit property a few years ago. Love that property. Provides really good cash flow. Was able to get me out of my job. That's actually the key to quitting my job and achieving financial freedom. That when you can make enough money from your rental properties to pay all your bills, so you don't have to work, it's an amazing thing, you guys. It's an amazing thing. I want to encourage you guys all to fight for that. I can't emphasize that enough. I'm also the co-host of the BiggerPockets podcast, as many of you guys have heard, alongside Josh Dorkin, CEO of BiggerPockets. I'm an author of several books, including the book on managing rental properties, the book on rental property investing, and the book, by the way, rental property investing is like the number 1 or number 2 biggest real estate book in the country, which is crazy. And the third book I wrote, the earliest one, was the book on investing in real estate with no and low money down. That's a book you might want to read if you don't have a ton of income, or I should say a ton of cash saved up, or a ton of income, or maybe you got bad credit. This book can help you learn some different strategies for doing that. I'll actually give that out a little bit later in today's webinar, some folks, so stay tuned for that as well. And like I mentioned, I am currently spending a month in Hawaii pretending to surf. And by pretending, I mean falling in the water, half drowning more often than I am surfing. But I had this dream that I wanted to learn how to surf. So I'm doing it because I'm a big believer in taking action on your dreams, right? I mean, how many of you guys have said you want to do something for a long time? I want to invest in real estate. I want to buy rental properties. I want to flip houses. I want to quit my job. Why do so few people do things? That is like the core of my goal in life, is to figure that out and how to help other people do it. When I wanted to learn how to surf in Hawaii, I went and booked a month in Hawaii. When I wanted to buy rental properties, I went out. I struggled, but I bought rental properties. Now, the humble truth about my story is this. I did not just come out of the womb knowing how to invest in real estate. I sucked at the beginning. I struggled a ton. I was super unsure. on how to analyze deals. I was nervous about making offers, and I didn't want to lose any money, right? I barely had any money. I mean, I had a few $1,000s at the beginning. I didn't want to lose that. I used a partner to invest in some of my early deals. I don't want to lose their money. I mean, I was about as nervous as you can get, so I almost gave up. In fact, everybody was telling me I should give up. Like, I heard it over and over and over and over that I should give this up. But then I found BiggerPockets. And during that time, I started learning from other people who kind of showed me how to do this right. Real estate doesn't have to be scary. When you understand things, I mean, how many people are scared to drive down the freeway? Raise your hand. I can't see you because I'm not looking at you, but a lot of you guys probably didn't raise your hand, right? Because none of us are too afraid of driving down the freeway. Why? Because it's second nature. We've done it so much. And so with real estate, that's how it is now. I discovered, so to speak, over time, the truth about evaluating and offering on deals. And today, that's what I want to share with you guys so you can cut short the learning and the testing and the failing time. Like, I've made a lot of mistakes. I once bought a property that I spent 2 years working on. I ended up losing 10 grand on it. Another deal I have, I lose money every single month, every single year. I call it my hell house. Why? Because I didn't analyze the deals correctly. And so my goal today is to help you guys cut short the learning, testing, and get all the good info without the embarrassing bad experiences that I've gone through. Today, I've got a little over 50 units, 15 plus properties, a lot of multifamily in there, obviously. I'm both a landlord and a flipper and the occasional wholesaler. And I do have that coveted financial free. I mean, I'm not a multi-millionaire, but I can pay my bills with the rental income if I wanted to. Now, of course, I'm still trying to grow. I'm just like you guys. I'm trying to get bigger. I'm trying to get more properties. I'm actually looking to get over 100 by the end of this year. My goal is to have over 100 units by the end of 2017. What's your goal? I mean, you guys got one? All right, so let's get into this thing. When we're talking about like why so many people never take action, why do people struggle so much with this real estate thing? I mean, obviously people struggle with analyzing deals. We'll talk about that in here, but there's also they don't commit. I mean, so many people tell me every week that they want to invest in real estate, but so few people ever do it because they never commit to it. It's like the guy who says, I'm committed to losing 20 pounds, right? And then the next day he's sitting on his couch eating nachos, watching Dancing with the Stars until he falls asleep at night, right? Is that true commitment? Nod your head or shake your head. Of course not. It's not commitment, right? Because if you're truly committed, your actions back it up. So people, they might say they're committed, but they're not if they don't have actions to back it up. Secondly, they don't take it seriously. They tell people they want to invest in real estate, but it's never like a serious ambition. Kind of like people say, I want to learn how to surf. They don't take it seriously. They never actually go and do it. They never actually go book time to learn, right? People say they want to lose weight, but they don't take it seriously. They just kind of think it'll happen naturally. One of my favorite quotes of all time, Jim Rohn says, life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. You guys ever heard that before? Life doesn't get better by chance. It gets better by change. Life doesn't get better by chance, it gets better by change. In other words, if you want things to change in your life, you're going to have to work at it and take it seriously. Third reason people struggle, they don't analyze. By the way, all these are in your worksheet. So go ahead and fill this out if you don't have your worksheet yet, biggerpockets.com/426 worksheet. So they don't analyze deals. I mean, there's so many investors out there who their only analysis is, it looks like a pretty good deal to me. I think I'll buy it. Like, that's all they do. They never actually do an in-depth analysis. They forget about things like capital expenditures or vacancy rate or repairs, maintenance, the utilities. They forget about a lot of things, or they never learned how to do it right in the first place, and they struggle. And you know who I buy most of my deals from? Anybody know? Who do I buy most of my deals from? Failed landlords who didn't do it right. There's so many of them out there. There's so many. Now, hopefully, BiggerPockets is helping with that. But there are so many people who buy stupid deals they should have never bought. Then they go bankrupt or they lose the property in foreclosure, and then I go and pick it up because they failed and I go and get it. Also, last thing, they don't hustle. I talked about this earlier about action, right? So many people, they just refuse to hustle. They talk a big game. They pretend they want to do it. But then they show up to a webinar like this, and then they half pay attention. They're also Snapchatting and Instagramming, and they're making dinner at the same time. In other words, they're not taking it seriously. They're not hustling, right? They spend their evenings and weekends watching Dancing with the Stars reruns or watching fishing show reruns, and they don't hustle, right? It takes hard work to succeed in anything in life, especially real estate. If you don't get over these four mistakes or struggles, you're going to struggle forever. But those who win, those who do this stuff right, those who win, achieve their ideal life, right? Real estate has that unique power to give you passive income, whether you want to use your time to go travel, whether you want to spend more time with your family, or just to experience financial freedom, to be able to choose when you want to work, how you want to work, where you want to work. Real estate can do that for you in a way that almost no other, in fact, I would say in a way that no other business venture or investment can possibly do. I firmly believe real estate is the best investment on planet Earth. I can back that up with story after story after story of people who have achieved like this ideal life that they want just by working hard through real estate. But here's the problem. 99% of the properties out there are not deals. If you just went and bought properties, you're going to struggle. You're going to fail. You're never going to get this life that you want. Whatever it is that you see as your ideal life or a very cool life for yourself, you're not going to get it if you just start buying properties. You have to analyze for the best. You have to analyze for the best. That's on your worksheet as well. So make sure you guys jot that stuff down. So are you guys ready to learn? Type yes or no in the chat area. Do me a favor. Anthony, I'm going to ask you a couple questions here. Yes or no. Are you ready to learn this stuff? And on that note, are you committed to focusing? I said this earlier. People come to webinars and then they half pay attention, right? They're like doing 10 things at once. But if you truly are committed to learning, are you committed to, then you got to be committed to focusing in on this. And I know we might go a little bit long today because I got a lot to talk about. You might get a little overwhelmed. You might get scared. You might be like, I don't understand what he's saying. And a lot of you are going to want to shut this off and go back to your life. But I want to encourage you, focus in, learn this stuff. And the last question, are you committed to taking action? Right? If you're just going to come here and learn and then not take what I say and go apply it to your life, what's the point of showing up? Go do something more fulfilling in life, right? Go spend some time with your family. Go spend some time watching TV. Dance with the Stars starts pretty soon. But if you are committed to taking action, those are the people I want to talk to today. Everybody else can go. If you don't care, but you just want to learn because you like being here, I want people who are going to take action on this stuff. All right, let's get into this stuff. Deal evaluation. Deal evaluation. First of all, there's 3 mistakes people make when they're analyzing deals. I like to get those out of the way first because a lot of you guys have been making these mistakes for many, many years. And Jessica said, bro, you hate Dance with the Stars. I do hate that show. So, all right. So what are the 3 mistakes made by most newbies when they're analyzing deals? This is on your worksheet. Jot it down. Number 1, they don't analyze. They're not analyzing deals. I mentioned that earlier. That's a huge mistake. They analyze in their head. Like, oh, I think that's a good deal because my realtor said it was a good deal. Hey, my partner said it was a good deal. My mom said it was a good deal. Hey, like, no, that's a huge, huge mistake. Never, ever, 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 ever let somebody else do your math for you. I don't care if it's a partner, your agent, your lender, your broker, your mom, your daughter, your son. Nobody should be analyzing your deals for you because this is your financial future we're talking about here, not theirs, right? It is your responsibility to learn this stuff, your responsibility to do it. People are always like, oh, my agent said it was a good deal. Most agents are morons. I said it. Did I say that out loud? Oops. Like most agents have no idea what they're doing. Never trust them. Don't trust a turnkey provider, somebody who's selling you a rental property. I don't trust them. They don't know what they're talking about. Only you know what's good for you and you analyzing deals. Number 2, not analyzing enough. I love these pictures, right? Not analyzing enough. In other words, they maybe analyze a little bit. Like, hey, looks like if I had this much income, this much expenses, oh, okay, that's good enough. No, you need to do a full analysis. And third, they're not analyzing for the future, right? I mean, we might be in, we have no idea what the market's going to do, right? We could be in a massive bubble right now. We might be at the beginning, we can't predict the future, but you can analyze and look down the road and use averages to figure out where your property is going to be. Now, is it going to be exact? Of course not. We don't have crystal balls. But so many people analyze only for today and not for next year. Only for today, not 2 years from now. By the way, Liz said, not nice. Not all agents are bad. No, of course not. And Stephen, there's some great agents out there. In fact, I've been hanging out this week here in Hawaii with my buddy David Green. I'll actually talk about him later. David Green became a millionaire through rental properties, through BiggerPockets, from learning from us. And now he's a real estate agent. He's quit his job. He's becoming a real estate agent, and he's crushing it as a real estate agent. But you know why he's crushing it? Because he knows how to run the numbers, and he helps people because he knows how to do it. So if you're an agent, hopefully you know how to run numbers. If not, you're going to know a whole lot more today. But most agents don't know the difference between cash flow and a hole in the ground, right? Like they're so bad. the very, very few agents are really, really good out there. I hope you guys are awesome agents, but there's some. So what I'm about to show you is so important. I broke it down into 5 distinct stages. You guys ready for this? All right, it's on your worksheet. 5 stages of deal analysis. It's not really like necessarily you do these in this order, but I generally do them in this order. So number 1, it's called the quick screen or using rules of thumb. Let me explain what I mean by that. What I mean by that is, let's say I was going to go look on the market on the MLS, like where all the properties are listed that are for sale by other agents or by agents in general. And there was 100 of them in my area, or let's say 1,000 properties for sale within a 20-mile radius, 1,000 properties or whatever. Am I going to sit down and analyze every single one of them in depth? Of course not, right? Some of them are going to be just the wrong deals. Some of them are going to be too big. Some are going to be too small. Some are going to be different areas that I don't want to buy in, right? So I'm going to quickly screen out all the bad ones. That's stage 1, is you quickly screen out all the ones that are obviously don't work. Now, one thing that we use in real estate are rules of thumb. I want to caution you guys before I talk about this, though. This is where people tend to get a little bit dogmatic, and they think what I'm saying is a rule because it's called a rule of thumb. It's not a rule. It's a rule of thumb, which means it's just kind of a guide. And here's the main rules of thumb. Number 1, the 50% rule. The 50% rule. It says this: over time and on average, a property, it should have been property Y apostrophe S. Shame on me for my lack of English skills. A property's operating expenses, meaning all the expenses, not including the mortgage, should add up to about 50% of the income. What does that mean? For example, the property brings in $2,000 a month. So what we're going to assume with the 50% rule, we can guesstimate, is that half of that is going to be things like utilities, repairs, vacancy, capital expenditures, utilities. Did I say that? All those things that add up. All the expenses, not including the mortgage, are about 50% of total income. Now, is this always true? Of course not. Sometimes it's 40, sometimes it's 30, sometimes it's 60. And some investors make really poor decisions because they buy a property based on something like the 50% rule. That is a bad idea. You always need to run the numbers because you never know if your property is going to be 40% or 60%. But when you're just doing a quick screening, the 50% rule can come in kind of handy. You're like, oh yeah, that deal would never work out, right? The next one we often talk about is the 2% rule. And I don't actually like the word 2% rule. I'm trying to kind of change it to 2% test because it's not a rule. It's not a rule. It just says this: what is the monthly rent divided by the purchase price? So if a property rents for $2,000 a month and you can buy it for $200,000, any math geniuses out there know what that is? 2,000 divided by 200,000 is 1%. Okay, so in that case, it passes the 1% rule, not the 2% rule. Now, if it was a $100,000 property that rented for $2,000 a month, now that passes the 2% rule. What if it was a property that was $400,000 that rented for $1,000 a month? What is that, like the point something? The $1,000 a month divided by 400,000 is the 0.25% rule, right? So how do we use these rules of thumb? Well, basically this: when I see a property, I look at it and I say, well, what is this thing going to rent for? Probably about $1,000 a month. And what are they asking for it? Well, they're asking 400,000. Okay, that's never going to work. In my market, in my numbers, anything below 1% will never work. Anything above 2% usually will work. And most things are in between that I want to buy. So I usually look between, 2% is really, really hard to find unless you live in like Detroit, or Milwaukee or something like that. But occasionally I am able to do it. That fourplex I showed you earlier, that abides by the 2% rule. So what it really means is the higher percentage, the better. If you can get 1.7, it's probably better than 1.3, but there are a lot of reasons why that could be wrong, which is why you have to do a full analysis. This is just quick screening. Also, in this process, the quick screening, we want to look at the property type, right? Oh, I only want to buy multifamilies. This is a single family? Throw it away. Okay, we don't care about it. Neighborhood, I'm not going to buy in that neighborhood. Okay, we're not going to look at those deals. Price range, I'm only looking under $200,000, or I'm only looking over $200,000. Condition, right? I only want a property in bad condition. Okay, well, I can rule out all the good condition properties. And then what about purpose? Hey, that would be a good flip, but I'm not a flipper, so I'm not going to worry about that deal, right? We're going to quickly screen out, using some rules of thumb, all the properties that just don't make sense. It just makes our life a little easier. All right, step two. We're going to look at cash flow. We're going to look at the actual monthly cash flow. And what that means is all the money left over in your pocket after all the bills have been paid. Now, be careful here. People get this wrong all the time. It's the actual formula for cash flow is really easy. It's the total income minus the total expenses, right? Total income minus the total expenses. So if a property brings in $1,000 a month and you spend $800 a month, that means your cash flow is what? That's right, $200 a month, right? Not too bad. Now, the reason people screw this up all the time is this word total. This word total. Because people forget, I mean, income is pretty easy, right? How much is it rent for? Is there any laundry income or any other weird income? Probably not. But at least rent is pretty easy. Expenses are where people tend to forget things. Like they say, well, the mortgage is $500 a month. So if it rents for $1,000 and my mortgage is $500, I must be making $500 a month in cash flow. Nope. That's what all the agents will tell you maybe. But in reality, it's things like, you got to set aside a certain amount of money every month for vacancy, because of once a year, once every 2 years, that property is going to sit empty. What about property management? What about repairs? What about capital expenditure, which means like big things like roofs that have to be replaced every 20 years. Do you know if you have to replace a roof every 20 years, you got to set aside like $40 a month just for the roof to make that worth it? So if you got a roof that's half dead, that's going to be dead, going to need to be replaced in 10 years from now, you got to be setting aside like almost $100 a month for that roof. Are you? Well, most people don't, and then they wonder why they never make money on their properties. So be careful. Be careful when you're analyzing for cash flow. And again, we're going to do this in real life here in just a little bit. We're going to go through all 5 of these with a real property. Third, cash on cash return. Now, what this means, cash on cash return, is basically a way of saying what kind of yield or what kind of return on my money am I getting based on the cash flow. So let me simplify that a little bit. If you put $1,000 in the bank and at the end of the year, they gave you $100 in interest, that would be 10%, right? You basically made 10% on your money. That's what we're talking about here, is just what return, how much money are you making on your money? This is a very, very important number that I look at very, very carefully. Annual cash flow is how you figure it out. It's your annual cash flow. So how much did you get at the end of the year total? You divide that by the total cash invested. Your annual cash flow, and you divide it by the total cash invested. So let me give you an example. If a property gives you $10,000 every year in cash flow, and you spent $200,000 to buy the property, that's how much money you put down and put into closing costs or repairs or whatever when you bought it. If you spent $200,000 and you put 10% down, or $10,000 or $10,000 in cash flow, that would be a 5% return. Does that make sense? Because take $10,000, divide that by $200,000, and you're at 5%. Now, I can tell you my numbers. Yours might be different. I look for, when I'm doing these deals, I look for a 12% cash on cash return. That's just me. I like to see 12%. I also like to see at least $100 per month per unit in cash flow, but I'd prefer a little more, but that's my minimum. All right, next. And by the way, isn't that ROI? Yes. Cash on cash return is the same as cash on cash ROI. The reason I don't say ROI, and if you guys are wondering why I don't say that, it's because ROI is kind of a deceptive term. Are we talking about ROI and just your cash flow? Are we talking about ROI, your return on investment, as cash flow and equity? Or are we talking about ROI with the tax benefits, or with the loan getting paid down, or with over time? Like ROI is kind of a deceptive number. What I like is cash and cash return, equity, and then what we're talking about in number 5 a minute from now. So equity, that's the next thing I always look at in a deal. In other words, how much equity is basically this. It's the property value minus the property debt. So if the property is worth $100,000 and I owe $80,000, my equity is what? $20K, right? So $100,000 in value minus $80,000 in value in debt, meaning what I owe on the mortgage. That means my equity is $20,000. So what I look for is, at least, personally, I like to say at least 20% in equity. I don't like to own a property that I owe exactly what it's worth. You know why? Because if something goes wrong, I can't sell it. because I got to pay a real estate agent to sell it, and it's going to cost me money, and I got taxes and all that. It's just going to be annoying, right? So I like to make sure that any deal that I do has at least 20% equity in it. Your numbers might be different. Maybe you want 30%. Maybe you want 40%. All right, so number 1 was quick screen. Number 2 is cash flow. 3 is cash and cash return. 4 is equity. And number 5 is the total return. Now, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. I mean, I know some of you guys are like, now it's getting complicated. This whole thing's complicated. But this is where it gets difficult to do by hand. It gets difficult. I mean, the whole thing gets a little bit complicated, but let me explain. Total return is this: your total profit that you made on the deal ever. Maybe that's equity and cash flow and, the loan getting paid down or whatever over time. Any money you ever made on the property divided by the total amount of cash you ever invested. Then divide that by the number of years. So let me give you an example. I know this is really confusing. Everyone's like, oh, I don't know how to do calculus. I'm going to go back to watching TV. Pay attention here for a second. Let's just say, example, that you gave me $100,000, right? You gave me $100,000. And after 2 years, I gave you back $20,000. Okay, so you made a profit of $20,000 and you invested $100,000. So what is 20 divided by 100? 20%. And then we divide that by the number of years. And so what we're looking at is basically this idea that your 20% wasn't necessarily, and this is actually a more simplistic definition of total return. We can actually get really, really complicated if you guys want to, but this keeps it pretty easy. Basically, I take that 20% and I say, actually, it was 10% per year. That makes sense. So I take my 20% return, but that was spread out over 2 years. So I got to make sure I divide that by 2 years. And now I'm at 10% per year. All right. So that's what we're talking about total return. If that got you really confused, let's try this in real life. It'll make hopefully a lot more sense. Now, there's 2 ways to do the math when you're doing real estate deals. You can do this whole thing by hand. You can do a quick screening by hand, cash flow, cash and cash return, equity and total return. Or you can use software to do it. You could use like a fancy spreadsheet if you have a really nice spreadsheet. The problem I have with spreadsheets, though, is twofold. One, it's very easy to make mistakes. It's very easy to plug in a number you didn't know or you forgot to put something in. In fact, that deal I lost 2 years of my life and $10,000 on, yep, that was on a spreadsheet. Or you can use something like actual professional software. There's some companies out there that charge hundreds of dollars a month for good software. So that's what we have at BiggerPockets. It's not $100 a month, hundreds of dollars a month, but we created software to help you guys with that. So that's what I use when I'm analyzing deals, and I'll show you why I like doing it that way. Because if you're going to do, if you're going to analyze deals, right? If you're going to do it by hand, you might spend half hour to do all 5 of these things by hand. You might spend 45 minutes, maybe an hour to do it all by hand your first time. But if you use like some good software, you can do it in like 5 minutes. And so let me show you, actually in 5 minutes, we're going to analyze an entire deal. But first, I'm going to turn my camera over to my actual, let's see, so you guys can actually watch my screen. Now, hopefully I don't lose you here. Now, I will warn you, 2 weeks ago when I was doing a webinar, I was right at this point of the webinar and I switched over and we lost everything. The webinar just shut off. And it didn't work for everybody. And so that sucked. And so if that happens here, I want to tell you guys this. If that happens, I'm going to go live on Facebook Live. If that happens. So if you lose me entirely here or anytime before this webinar is over today, let's just go over to Facebook Live. We'll finish there. So go to facebook.com/BiggerPockets. And we'll pick it up there again. But hopefully that doesn't happen. Everybody cross your fingers because, those little bugs are annoying. So. Here it is over here. Did it work okay? I hope so. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to start by looking for a deal. So I'm going to start here on Realtor.com. Realtor.com is just one site you can go. There's a lot of sites out there to look for properties on. There's a estate agent. There's a lot of ways to do it. You could do driving for dollars. You could do whatever, Craigslist ads. In fact, I've actually done entire webinars just on that topic. In fact, if you want to watch those, if you're a pro member, you can watch webinar replays in the pro replay room. There's over 50 hours of webinars in there. So check it out, biggerpockets.com/pro replay. But for now, let's go ahead and just use realtor.com. It's just a site that I happen to like. All right. So I'm going to search in my area of Aberdeen, Washington. Aberdeen, Washington. Now, I do want to ask you guys a question. Do we want to look for single family or multifamily? I'm actually going to make a poll on your screen. It's going to pop up. It's going to say single or multi, single, multi. And we're going to poll everybody. What do you guys want to do? Single family or multifamily? I'll give it just a minute or so for the things to come in. Holy cow, you guys like multifamily. Whew. All right. So understand, first of all, that it doesn't really matter. Like, they're both the exact same process for analyzing deals, but just for the fun of it, 68% of you said multi, 32% said single. So we're going to go ahead and analyze a multi. There's a few multifamilies in my area. Actually, this one's I haven't seen this one. There's this one for $430,000. Now, I live in a little bit cheaper area. I understand that. Like, some of them are really cheap. Some of them are a little more expensive. Like, this one looks like a duplex maybe for $430,000. That ain't gonna work. I can just tell you, I did a quick screening. Watch this. I actually did this in my head just now without even thinking about it. I went, if this is a duplex, which we can go look real quick to make sure it is. Let's see. It's a stock market, blah, 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 blah. Oh, this is 3 duplexes with 3 separate tax parcels. Each is 2 bedroom, 1 bath with carports. Oh, okay. This is a little bit different. I thought this was only a duplex. So this is 6 total units. That's interesting. It's like 3 properties for $430,000. You guys want to analyze this deal? This might be kind of actually fun to look at. 3 duplexes here. Well, covered parking. That photo didn't work. The cabinets actually look kind of decent. Kitchen looks all right. I mean, I'm assuming this is going to be too expensive just because I don't usually buy in this price range, but this actually looks halfway decent. What do you guys think? Can we analyze this deal? I think that might be fun. Let's do it. All right. Let's find this thing. So here we go. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to go over here to biggerpockets.com/analysis. Now, there are several different analyses that you could do. I'm going to click here to start the analysis. I could do a fix and flip calculator. I could do the rental property calculator. I could do the BRRRR calculator, which is where you buy a fixer upper and then you fix it up and then you rent it out, which is one of my favorite strategies in all of real estate. If you want to watch entire webinars I've done on that, you can go to the BiggerPockets Pro Replay Room and watch those. Or the wholesaling calculator. What are we going to use here? Well, this is a rental property, so why don't we go and use the rental property calculator? All right, so here, it's very, very simple. Like I said, we can do it in 5 minutes. We got page 1, page 2, and page 3, and then the results page. That's it. So what do we want to call this? What's the title of this webinar? Well, the title, of this webinar, of this property, I'm going to call it the Sixplex on Hirschbeck Heights. Okay, property address 110 Hirschbeck Heights Road. Property city is in Aberdeen, Washington, 98520. Annual property taxes. Wait, I don't know what those are. I don't know how to figure out property taxes. I quit. I'm going to go back to watching Dancing with the Stars because that's what I like to do. No, okay, so if you don't understand how to do everything, all you have to do is hover over these little boxes, which I don't know why they're boxes. These used to be question marks, so I think my computer is just acting funny. These should be question marks. But anyway, hover over these little icons, and it's going to explain exactly how to do this. So, for example, annual property taxes, how do we figure that out? Well, we could go to the county website, or we could look here, and they might give us the information here on this listing. Let's find out. Down here, it says property taxes every month are $492 a month. Okay, so $492 a month times 12 is $5,904 per year. Now, I can go and verify that. Realtor.com is not actually always correct there. So I could verify it by going to Google and then going to my county. Let's see, Grays Harbor County. And then we're going to click on that. We're going to go in here and now your county might be a little bit different than this, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. Oh, why is it a 404 page? All right, I might have to. Oh, here we go. Man, I got to tell them that they're. Oh, that's right. They just updated last week. I forgot about that. I've not used the new system because I've been sitting in Hawaii. All right. So we're going to search for simple search. I've never done this before, so this is brand new for me. 110 Hirschbeck. Let's see what comes up. Nothing came up here. All right, let's try Hirschbeck. What happens if I just type in 110? Okay, so that does work. So 110. What if I just spelled it wrong? Hirschbeck Heights Road. Let's copy it straight from here. Worst case, if we don't find it right now, and I don't want to make you guys all wait for me, we'll just use what the realtor had because that's annoying. All right, well, whatever. I'll figure it out later. But so for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to use exactly what realtor gave us because that's probably right. I just want to verify it before I actually make an offer that is correct. I can add a photo if I want to. I like to add photos actually because it makes the report look better at the end. So let's go back here and just take this. I like this one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this photo to the choose file place. And then I can write a sales description right here. So maybe I want to write, I'll just take what the agent put that right there for now. All right, that's it for page 1. Let's go to page 2. What are we going to buy this property for? Well, what are they asking? They're asking $430,000. The after repair value, what's it worth when it's all fixed up? If you don't know how to figure that out, hover over the question mark or the little icon, whatever it is right there. And after repair value, I'm going to say it's probably the same, $430,000. When I buy the thing, I got to pay closing costs of probably, let's say, $3,500. Do I have to fix it up? It looked like it was pretty good. I probably didn't have to do much. Maybe it needs a little bit of fix up, I don't know, how about $3,000? We can change that later if we want to. But for now, I feel pretty good with that. All right. Next, we're going to do the loan details. Loan details. In other words, when on this property, how do I want to buy it? Do I want to do a cash purchase? I can choose that if I want to, but I probably don't want to. Instead, I'm going to do a loan. So I'm going to go in here and go to, how about 20% down and at an interest rate of 5%. And I'm going to amortize it over a 30-year period. Next, we've got page 3. Now, I didn't hit everything on that page. If you want to go back there, you can look at it more in detail, but I'm going to move through this a little bit quicker because you guys got stuff to do tonight. All right, so we got total gross monthly rent. Now, we can add per unit here. There's actually 6 total units, so I could go one at a time through this, but I think it would be easier just to enter in one total amount. Now, these are all, I believe, 2-bedroom, 1-bath. Let's verify that. Yep, each unit is 2-bedroom, 1-bath with carports, decks, vinyl windows, and convenient laundry hookups. So I bet you these will rent for $600 per side. Does it tell us any differently? It says some rents below market, so we'd have to use those. But I'm going to go ahead and say they're $600 each. 600, of course, times 6 is $3,600 a month in gross monthly rent. All right, now we got other monthly income. Is there anything else? Is there laundry income? Probably not because it said there were washer hookups. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that blank. Down here, we got fixed landlord paid expenses, things like electricity, water, sewer, garbage, PMI, garbage. So I'm guessing these tenants all pay their own electricity, so that's 0. Water, sewer, garbage, ooh, do I have to pay that or do they pay that? And this would be one of the most important questions of this deal. Now, typically speaking, on multifamilies, the owner pays the water, sewer, and garbage charge. So I'm going to assume right now that that's the case and say that's probably going to run me about $200 a month. I just know that because I have a triplex that's about $100 a month. So I'm saying $200 a month there. We got garbage, probably going to cost about $100 a month. I got insurance, probably going to cost me about $150 a month. Now, if you don't know any of these guys, if you can tell by hovering over this question mark, well, whatever this box is right here, it says you can always go and check with, for example, check if you don't know the insurance, go check with the insurance agent. You don't know the water bill, go check with the water department. But you kind of figure out averages pretty quickly. Now, next, we've got our variable landlord paid expenses, meaning these are expenses that nobody accounts for typically, but these can make or break a deal. Things like vacancy. How much time do we want to set, or money do we want to set aside for vacancy? I usually do about 5%. What about repairs and maintenance? How much money do we want to set aside for that? I'll say 5%, and that percentage is based on the rent. So I'll say I'm going to set aside 5% a month for vacancy or for repairs and maintenance, another 5% for CapEx, and then I'm going to pay a property manager 9% to do this deal. Now, maybe you want to manage yourself and you can put 0 there. That's okay. But I'm going to put 9% there for mine. Now, the last section here goes into future assumptions. Remember, we talked about the importance of analyzing for the future. So I'm going to go ahead and just estimate the future. That I think the income is going to grow probably by 2% per year. The property value will probably grow by, we'll say 2% per year. And expenses will probably also climb by around 2% per year. And the last thing is, if I go to sell this property someday, how much do I have to pay to a real estate agent and closing costs, all that stuff? I usually choose about 9 or 10%. And that's it. So we just walked through all 3 pages. That took us a couple more minutes than 5 minutes, but that's because I was explaining everything in detail. But in reality, like most people who use this can do it in 3 or 4 minutes. It's very, very quick. So with that, let's go ahead and run the numbers. Now, before I show you the results, I want to get your opinion. Do you guys think, based on this, would you buy this deal? Would you buy this deal? Either yes, it's a great deal, not sure, or no way, horrible deal. I'll give you guys a couple seconds. Do 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 do. All right, here we go. So it looks like 10% of you guys said yes, it's a great deal. 46% said I'm not sure, and 45% said no way. It sounds like a horrible deal. Well, let's find out. Oh, weird. I uploaded a picture that I didn't choose. Man, that's annoying. All right, hold on. Let's upload a picture that actually works, or we just forget the picture thing. Let's try this again. Take a picture, put it on the screen. There it is. And let's go to add a photo, choose file. And there it is right there. Let's try this instead. We know that. Try it again and calculate results. Takes probably about 5 to 10 seconds. Man, they do not like my pictures today. All right, well, whatever reason, they don't like my pictures. So we're not going to put a picture in. I don't know. I guess I'll figure that out later. Do 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 do. Here we go. Okay, so we'll forget the photo for now. Based on the numbers we just analyzed, this property's monthly income, $3,600 a month. Our monthly expenses, $3,652 a month in expenses. Meaning, our monthly cash flow on this property, $52 a month negative. Well, that sucks. $52 a month negative, right? So this deal is probably not something that I'm real interested in buying, right? Because I want to see, I told you guys earlier, I like to see at least $100 per month per unit, which means this would have to cash flow at least $600 a month. And the cash on cash return needs to be at least 12% for me. I got neither of those things. So what am I going to do instead? I'm going to go back and watch TV because I can't find any deals in my area. I quit. I'm done with real estate investing, right? That's what so many people do. But look, remember I said this at the beginning of the webinar. We're going to go, every deal has a number that makes sense. Let's go find that number. We're going to go back here and we're going to go and figure out, what if we didn't pay $430,000? What if we paid $330,000 for this deal instead? Let's find out. Calculate results. And now we're looking at a 6.24% cash on cash return and a $376 a month in cash flow. Man, still not very good. Man, I would not buy this deal even for $100,000 off. Now, there is one thing that maybe would make this deal better. What if the tenants paid their own water, sewer, garbage? Let's find out. What happens if we paid $100,000 less and we had no water, sewer, garbage charges? Okay, let's find out what happens then. Calculate results, and now we're looking at $676 a month in cash flow and 11.2. Well, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're pretty darn close. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to find out this property. I'm going to find out, hey, do the tenants pay their own water, sewer, garbage? And I'm going to verify that that monthly income is correct. Once I verify that, now maybe I can find a deal and find a number that makes sense for sure. So in just the last few minutes, we went and determined that this property did not make any sense what they're asking. Crazy numbers. But if we offer them $100,000 less, maybe they'd go for it. Or maybe there's a reason they're asking so much. Maybe this property actually rents for more than I think. Maybe maybe they're getting $700 a piece off these, or maybe the tenants pay their own water, sewer, garbage. Or maybe there's something else I'm not noticing, but this deal seems pretty terrible at the price they're asking. But let's go through this calculator the rest of the way down the page, and then we got to move on because, man, this hour went quick. We still got to get to part 2 here. So over time, we can see these things like year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 10, 20, 30. I can kind of look at these graphs and see what the future kind of looks like, our income, our expenses, our cash flow going up over time. I can also see here our equity climbing. I can see our loan getting paid off, and I can see our property value climbing up here. I can see that if I bought this property as is right here for this $100,000 discount and didn't have to pay water, sewer, garbage, if I bought it and then 4 years later I sold it, I could estimate a total profit of $139,000 or a 30% total return. Let's go back to our list real quick. Remember, I already showed you how to do the quick screening. We talked about quick screening, so we did that. Next, we look at cash flow. There's that number. Next, we look at our cash on cash return. There's that number. Next, we look at our equity, which we're going to find down here. We can see our equity growing over time. We started with $178,000 in equity, and we climbed that over time. I can also then, the last thing, is look at our total return, which is right here. 102%, 52, 37, 30%. So that's how I analyze deals. That's how I analyze every single deal. I wonder if it'll let me upload a photo here, or if it's just going to be really difficult. Maybe like it's too long of a title. Let's find out. Does it let us? Nah, who knows? There's some kind of bug happening tonight. Whatever. I'll let you guys try it later on your own. But check one more thing I'll show you. Under more actions, you can actually upload a photo. You can download a PDF report. You can share a PDF report, which is kind of cool. You can copy a report to another user. But let's go ahead and actually just show you this. You can download the PDF report. I'll show you what that looks like. I'll also share with you guys the PDF report. Go look over in the chat room right now. At the top of the chat room, I'm going to share a link in there a couple times. You guys can actually go and view this on your own right now. Let's see. Remove that. Add it in there. All right, a couple of questions that people asked. Somebody asked, how do you verify the rent? Well, I'd probably call the agent and ask what's getting rented for right now. But also, I would look on what does a property like that rent for? I'd go look on Craigslist. So here we are. Here's what our final report looks like. I can see that I've got our title. We've got all the numbers that we care about up here. These are all the numbers that I care about. And these, even more importantly, are all the numbers that a lender would care about. That's right. These reports are most beneficial for showing a lender or a partner or a spouse like that you've done your math homework. These are the numbers that everybody cares about. And so we put them top and center. Down below that, we've got our property information. Before that, we got our description. If the photo would have uploaded, it would be right there. We've got the total amount of money we put down. We've got all of our loan information. We've got some graphs showing our income and expenses. We've got our projections for the future. We've got all that stuff written in here. We've even got a map, which is kind of nice. Oh, this property is in Central Park? I did not even realize that. I mean, Aberdeen and Central Park are basically the same town, but Central Park's address is all Aberdeen, but Central Park is actually a little bit nicer. So these properties actually probably rent more for like $650 a piece. So that's good to know. Might get a little bit higher. But anyway, that's how we're analyzing deals, and that's how I always run these reports. Now I'm going to switch back over to my slide deck because we got a few more sections of this webinar to talk about. We're going to talk about these calculators a little bit more just for another couple minutes. Then I'm going to talk about how to make an using that real life deal. Again, you could do this by hand if you wanted to. I generally don't like it. Now, before we move on to part 2, including my 7 sneaky tricks for getting your offer accepted, I want to talk about action real quick. Here's the problem. People use this stuff all the time. They hear stuff like here on this webinar, and they're like, oh, I love this stuff. I'm going to start analyzing deals. And then they go out there and they never do anything. But I want to show you an example of somebody who didn't do that. I got this email from Dennis a while back. He attended a webinar. He says, hey, Brandon, wanted to thank you and BP after attending your webinar on how to make $1 million in real estate. I got inspired to take action. So last week, I closed on my first deal. I now have a triplex that is rented and will cash flow very well for me. I can now call myself a real estate investor. I have a plan moving forward and will make my business a success. Thank you. You guys know what I love about this? Dennis didn't show up to a webinar like you guys are at right now, learn how to analyze deals, and then go out watching more TV, right? I know I'm harping on TV thing, but that's the truth is most people do more time on TV than they do planning for their financial future, right? I just try to correct that, and that's why I pick on TV a lot. But it doesn't matter if it's Netflix, TV, or twiddling your thumbs, right? But the deal is he sent me this message just a few weeks after attending this webinar. He went and took the stuff he learned, and he applied it. Are you guys going to do that? I sure as heck hope so. So I'm going to ask you this last question before we move on, and I want you to actually type in the chat area. Again, I think there's power in the words that you use and the words that you type. Are you committed to intelligently analyzing deals in your future? Am I just wasting my time today? I hope not. So are you committed to intelligently analyzing your deals in your future? Now, you don't have to be perfect at it your first time. First time you tried to walk, were you like, running across the yard? Of course not. The first time you analyze a deal, you're going to struggle a little bit. Second time, you're going to learn a little bit more. Third time, a little bit more. And there's a ton of yeses coming in. Good. Second question, I'll add to the later half of that. Have I done a good job so far of explaining to you guys like how to analyze deals? Like, do you understand how cash on cash return works? Do you understand how that? Are you guys excited to go out there and start analyzing deals? I hope so. You don't have to actually write yes if you don't want to there. And you can say no if you want, because maybe I'm talking way too fast, because I know my wife tells me that all the time. But I hope you guys learned some good stuff. And we're not done. We got some more stuff to talk about. But I mentioned the calculators, so it would behoove me to, is that a word? I think that's a word. Anyway, I mentioned the calculators, and people asked, are they free to use? Sort of. The calculators, you can use them on BiggerPockets up to 5 times for free. Up to 5 times for free. After that, you do have to be a pro member. Now, a lot of you guys are pro members already. A lot of you guys are analyzing deals. I know because I see the data. Thousands of deals get analyzed on BiggerPockets all the time. But for those who are not a pro member, let me explain real quick what that is. And you might want to become a pro member. And like I said, I do have a discount if you're interested in it. And if not, don't worry about it. Grab a drink of water, and we're going to get on to section 2 here in just a second. But let me explain what pro is and how it can help you, how I believe it can help you buy more real estate deals and take less risk. First of all, using your pro membership, you can make smarter decisions with the BiggerPockets property analysis tools. In other words, you can look for what price makes sense so you know how much to offer. You can screen for great deals that'll help you achieve your goals and avoid the bad ones that are going to hurt you. In other words, these deals, like when you analyze deals, they take the emotion out of it. They take the emotion out of it, which is one of the most important skills with real estate. Also, as a pro member, you can connect with people who can help you succeed. Like you can find lenders, partners, investors, agents, and more through increased networking at biggerpockets.com/meet. That's a pro tool. You can also post your haves or your needs in the BiggerPockets marketplace. So things like, hey, I'm looking for a duplex in Cincinnati. Well, go post about it in the marketplace. Thousands of people visit the marketplace every day. And this is very important. You can also show the world you're serious about taking action. So you can get that little pro badge next to your name on BiggerPockets, which, trust me, it adds so much credibility to your name when people can see that you are somebody who's serious. You're not going to be out, selling Mary Kay products next week because you're onto some new kick, right? You're in this to win it. You're in it seriously. You've put your money where your mouth is. Also, as a pro member, you get to put a video on your profile, which again builds a tremendous amount of trust and credibility because it says, hey, this is somebody who's legit. They're real. They put a video up. Also, as a pro member, you get to watch past webinars. If you guys like learning this way, if you guys enjoy these webinars, I've been doing these webinars now for a couple of years. There's over 50 hours of video education in the vault for pro members only. Things like how to make $1 million through real estate, how to find incredible real estate deals, even in a competitive market, invest in real estate while working a full-time job, how to generate $5,000 a month from single-family houses. How about this one? My 3 favorite strategies for buying real estate without a lot of cash. How to buy your first or next rental, how to quit your job, how to make fixer-upper, how to make 6 figures with the BRRRR strategy, or how to attract private money. These are all webinars that you guys should watch if you've not seen them yet. Also, as a pro member, you get unlimited keyword alerts. You can save on things like a website and other tools with BiggerPockets perks. You get access to the pro-only forum, and you can download unlimited files in the file place. And finally, you just help support the site that's changing lives across the world through real estate investing. Like I said earlier, I firmly believe real estate is the number one greatest, best, most secured way to build wealth and passive income. I firmly believe that because I saw it in my life and I've seen it in thousands of other people's lives across BiggerPockets all the time. If you want that life, if you want to do that, if you want to get out there, you're going to have to hustle. You're going to have to work for it. But real estate, I believe, can help you get there. It's for people who are committed. If you're thinking about pro, if you're on the fence, if you're committed, I want to encourage you guys, jump into pro. If you need to maximize your time, you don't want to spend 2 hours a day analyzing deals, use those calculators. Use them every day, at least for 5 minutes. If you need partners, lenders, or special advice, if you know that you want to analyze a lot of deals this year, and if you know you want to invest now, like you're ready, you don't want to do this 10 years from now, you don't want to wait 20 years. If you're ready now and you're committed to the hard work, BiggerPockets Pro is for you. Let me give an example of what that looks like. This person sent me a message that said, just wanted to say thank you for the webinar. It was very informative. It gave me several good ideas. I signed up for Pro, and I used the calculator you demonstrated to evaluate and make offers on 2 deals that I found. Now get this, guys. I love this. One was accepted, currently listed in the marketplace. So woohoo, they got a deal, right? That's awesome. But the other, this is the important part. The seller was unyielding in price. Even after I showed them the numbers, oh well, they're lost. So again, just wanted to say hello and thanks. You guys know what I'm so excited about this little story here? This person didn't just go out there and start analyzing deals like I tell them to, right? They didn't just get a deal accepted that made them money. Congratulations to them on that. But the best part is they didn't let emotion cloud their judgment and cause them to buy a bad deal like I've done. I don't want anybody in this room, anybody at this webinar right now, ever to buy a bad deal. Well, some people probably. There's 954 people here right now. I don't want you guys to do that, but I would encourage you, analyze. BiggerPockets Pro starts at $100,000. I'm totally kidding. Just totally kidding. Like 50 people just left. No, BiggerPockets, we don't believe in this junk. These are actual numbers that some of the gurus charge for their real estate, quote unquote, education. I've heard guys paying $100,000 or $50 or $20 or $10,000 for this stuff. You don't need that crap. You don't need to spend $10,000 to learn this stuff. BiggerPockets Pro, we try to keep it as reasonable as possible. It's $290 a year. $290 per year. That's less than $1 per day to be able to access those calculators all year long to analyze those deals. And the way I look at it is this. If you believe, it's very simple. If you believe you can buy one more deal over the rest of your life to make this worth it, then BiggerPockets Pro is worth it. If not, then don't. But if you think this can help you buy one more deal or help you avoid one deal over your entire life, I would encourage you guys to do it. But to encourage you guys to decide to do it today, because again, I know that the longer you wait after a webinar, the less interested you are in real estate, the more likely you are to go and find something else in your life that you're interested in. Like I want to hook you guys and say that no, real estate is the best way to achieve financial freedom. To encourage you guys to jump into Pro tonight. I said earlier, I have a discount code with some bonuses. Here you guys go. Number one, if you guys are interested in going pro, you guys can get the 2012 BiggerPockets conference audio. There's over 25 hours of audio training in this MP3 set. We sell it for $300. It's the most expensive thing we sell on all of BiggerPockets. It was recorded at our conference in 2012. We're including that tonight for no additional charge, which means that's actually worth more than the entire cost of a year of pro. We're including that tonight for free. Bonus number two, if you want to learn more about investing with creativity instead of cash, we're including a digital copy of my book, the book on investing in real estate with no or low money down. That's included as well. Bonus number three, the audiobook version of that book. If you want to listen to it in your car while you're driving to work, might as well turn your drive time into education time and learn how to use lease options and HELOCs and house hacking and partnerships and seller financing and all those cool strategies that I use. You learn how to use that by listening or reading that. Also, if you guys want to get the digital bonus book I wrote called How to Find Incredible Real Estate Deals, it walks you through how to use the MLS, how to use an agent, how to use driving for dollars and direct mail marketing. Check that out. Plus, I did these 7 MP3 video interviews with some of the most creative, smart investors that I know. Guys like Ben Leibovich, Chad Carson, Jay Scott, Doug Larson, Mike Simmons, Michael Blanc, and Aaron Mazzarello. I asked all these guys, hey, how are you investing in real estate without using your own money? And they share everything. We're also including that tonight. And also the last bonus here, you guys will get a 2-hour video recording of how to invest in real estate with no and low money down live. Basically what that is, it's me just sitting down with you guys for like 2 hours and saying, here's my properties. Here's what I did. Let me show you my first deal, my other deal. Let me explain how I used 4 different creative strategies to buy my 24-unit apartment complex without any money down. You think that's valuable? I like to think so. And lastly, like I said, I do have a discount code. I can get you guys 20% off a pro annual membership by using code 426 when you check out. 426. Like David said, he wrote in the chat room, the private there, but it says $290 per year is nothing and can be written off as part of your business expenses. So I'm not a CPA, but my CPA did tell me that a BiggerPockets Pro membership was deductible because it's for business. And so if you guys are like, not sure, I would encourage you to go that way. Also, understand that this is all for the annual membership. You can pay monthly if you want to, but you don't get all those bonuses. You'll get the 20% off still by using that coupon code. But if you guys want all those bonuses, plus it's cheaper in the long run and it holds your feet to the fire by going annual. So I always encourage people, go annual if you can go annual. Go annual. If that means, like hustling to make that worth it, go annual. It's cheaper, it's better in the long run, and it holds your feet to the fire and says, you know what, I'm committed. I'm not in this thing for a month. I'm not in it for 2 months. I'm in this thing for the full life, for my whole year. And if you guys upgrade, please let me know in the chat room that you did. I'm going to give you guys a shout out a little bit later. But we're going to move on and you guys are not discluded from this. Go to biggerpockets.com/webinar/bonus to get all that. Steven asked that as well. Is there a way to get this if I'm already a pro member? Yep. Go to biggerpockets.com/webinar/bonus. And if you're wondering, we do have a plus membership on BiggerPockets. I don't recommend it unless you just want to use the marketplace. It's a little bit cheaper, but not much. And it's really, I think, only ideal if you want to use the marketplace. All right. Before we move on, I was telling you guys earlier about my buddy David Green. I said he became a millionaire through BP. This is his quote. He said this: "Put simply, BiggerPockets made me a millionaire. In addition to the calculators and all the other benefits of being a pro member has helped me build a solid reputation on BP that's led to clients, deals, and financing." David Green, rental property investor. He was a full-time police officer. He actually was able to quit his job because of real estate. And he lives in the most expensive real estate market in the country, San Francisco. He's got every excuse in the book why he shouldn't invest in real estate, yet he did it anyway. If David can do it, you guys can do it as well. All right, guys. So I'm going to leave this page up just for half a second here. So jot down this information. Go to biggerpockets.com/pro upgrade if you want to upgrade, and then let me know. For example, Mimi said she's in. That's awesome. Sunu said upgraded. Whoop, whoop. Let's see. Very cool. Alex V said just upgraded. Was planning on using these calcs all weekend anyway, so thanks for the discount. That's awesome, dude. And Bianca said just went pro. Very cool. Very, very cool. All right, guys. So I'm going to move on. Let me know while we keep going. Let me know in the chat area if you guys go pro. And then we'll do Q&A after part 2 ends. Cool? By the way, Jerry said I'm in and Jeffrey said I'm in. By the way, I love, guys, the enthusiasm. I love the exclamation mark. That stuff is awesome. Here we go. All right, part 2, making offers. The first question to answer before making an offer is this: how is the seller selling? This is very, very important. And I know it might be obvious to some of you, but some of you might have never thought about this. The way you make an offer is going to differ depending on who you're offering to. If you are trying to offer on a deal that's on the market, it's on the MLS, which means another real estate agent has it listed for sale, you're going to want to get your own agent. And your agent is going to help you make the offer. Why? Because it's free. Because the agent that is going to get paid from the seller, not from you. But if you're buying a property without a real estate agent, like the person that you're buying it from does not have a real estate agent, then your job is going to be to make the offer without an agent, right? Because otherwise, who's going to pay the agent? I mean, you could pay him if you wanted to, but the seller's not going to pay him. They don't have an agent. If this is the case, if you're buying without an agent, you're just going to make a verbal or a written offer. I'll tell you guys a story. Actually, this week we made an offer. Me and a guy I'm partnering with on a deal. He's been looking for a long time. I'm kind of mentoring him. And he's been looking for a deal, and finally he found one. And I told him, go ahead and call the guy up that he's working with, working to buy the property from, and just make him a verbal offer. It didn't have to be real official. It didn't have to be something like fancy. So he called the guy up, and the guy wanted $50,000 for his property. He upped his price to $40,000. We analyzed the numbers and figured out we could only pay $30,000. So you know what we did? We offered him $30,000 over the phone. He said no. Guess what, though? 2 weeks later, he comes back and says, "Can you do $31,000?" And we said, "Maybe. Let's talk about it." So we ran the numbers again, and we were like, "Nah, man, we just can't do it." And in fact, we actually ended up talking him down to $29,000. Now that deal is still not under contract. We're still actually working through it because there were some hiccups in the rehab analysis part of it, like trying to get the rehab done. But the fact is, that's what we did. We made a verbal offer. Once everything's set in stone, now I'll go and worry about the written offer. And to get one, you can get a purchase and sale agreement form from like uslegalforms.com or from staples.com or any of those things as well. So that's how you make an offer. That's how you make one. Oh, by the way, Costia said something interesting I want to talk about real quick. Says, or Costia, wouldn't it be more beneficial to go direct to the listing broker because he or she would be more interested in selling direct without splitting commission? Yes, technically. You could go to the person actually selling the property. The only danger in that is if you're brand new to real estate, I generally don't recommend it because your agent needs to be like on your side. If you go to the agent that's selling the property, they're going to be 100% on the side of the seller because they want to get as much money as possible, and they're obligated to get as much money as possible. So if you're first starting out, just find your own agent, find somebody who's hungry, who's awesome, that you get along with, and have them help you with it. All right. So let's talk about those 7 sneaky tricks for getting your offer accepted. Cool? Let's go through all 7 of them. Now, some of you guys might have heard before. Some of you might be brand new to you, but go ahead and jot these down because these things could have helped me tremendously over the years, and they can help you as well. Oh, before I do that, let me give a few shout outs, by the way. Let's see. Tarani said, I'm in. Awesome. Gary said, just upgraded. Let's see what else we got here. Nick said, I'm in. Quay said, already upgraded. Awesome. Michael in. Let's see. Kevin said, got to go pro at least once. Whoop, whoop. Nimrod in. Chris in. Gerald. Alex. Is that Leonardo DiCaprio? Kunte. Just upgraded pro. Awesome. Dave went from monthly to annual. Awesome. Yeah, if you go to biggerpockets.com/webinar/bonus and you're a monthly, you can go annual and get all this stuff too. Corey said, just signed up for pro. Looking forward to my first deal. Kevin said, I'm a pro. It's awesome. Welcome, guys. Jimmy said pro. Sonny said pro. Taylor said, I'm in. Renee said, I signed up for pro, but I didn't get the confirmation though. Wondering if the website isn't working. Ooh, maybe there's way too many people on it at one time. Renee, give it a try again. If it bills you twice for some reason, just let me know and we'll refund it, obviously. Oh, by the way, speaking of refunds, if you guys are sitting on the fence and you're like, I'm just not sure if the pro membership is right for me, we do offer a 30-day guarantee. So, I mean, give it a try. If you guys use it for 30 days and you're like, yeah, this sucks, then just ask for a refund before 30 days is over. And just shoot me an email, Brandon at BiggerPockets. Say, hey, I tried it out, didn't really work. And you can keep all the bonuses, all $630 worth of bonuses. You can keep that for free. But nobody ever, even though I offer that a lot, nobody ever takes me up on it because people love the pro membership. So again, there's absolutely no risk to it at all. Give it a try. If you don't like it, or even if you're just like, I always want to get the bonuses, do it anyway, take the bonuses and ask me for a refund 20 minutes from now. That'd be really mean to do, but you could do it. All right. Let's see. Blair, Holt, awesome. Zeke, Edward. All right, moving on. Let's get to these 7 sneaky trips for getting your offer accepted. Number 1, be the first. Be the first. So here's an actionable tip. Many of you guys have done this. Many of you have not. In real estate, if you want to get your offer accepted, sometimes the most important thing is to be the first offer. Because when people put their deal, like their house on the market, the first offer, if you're quick, you can often get a yes before anybody else even looked at the property. Let me tell you guys how my kind of deal flow works when I'm the first. A property comes up on the market and I get an automatic email from my real estate agent that tells me about it. Immediately, if I'm out and about, I grab my phone and I analyze it using the BiggerPockets calculators on my phone. I then get a number that makes sense. Maybe I go look at the property right then, maybe I don't. But either way, I make an offer that day. I try to make an offer within like 2 or 3 hours of a property hitting the market if it's a really good deal. Why? Because I want to make sure that I get my offer in before anybody else has even seen the deal. So here's the actionable advice for you guys. If you don't have an automatic alert set up with your real estate agent, talk to your agent tonight and get automatic alerts set up. Almost every agent can do it, and if not, find an agent who can. If you don't have an agent, here's a tip. Go to your Facebook page and say, hey, family and friends, I'm looking for a good real estate agent in whatever town you're in, and you'll get a bunch of recommendations. Interview them tomorrow. Don't put this off for a week or two. You don't have time. Put it off until tomorrow at the latest, and then interview them, find somebody good, and have them set you up with automatic alerts. Do that now, like today, tomorrow. All right, tip number 2, be the last. There's been several deals that I've gotten simply because I made a lowball offer months and months after that everybody else lost interest in the property. For example, you know that property we looked at today that was $430,000? A lot of you guys, or a lot of people are going to look at that deal and say, yeah, this sucks. A lot of you guys are gonna say, yeah, that deal sucks, and nobody's gonna make an offer. But 2 months from now, if that deal is still on the market, those owners are getting nervous. They're like, oh man, we gotta sell this thing. So what I like to do is I like to offer on deals that have been sitting on the market for a long, long time. I've gotten a lot of deals that way. In fact, I bought my 5-plex that way. There's a 5-plex I bought. It was sitting on the market at $150,000 for a long time. They dropped their price down to $130,000, sat on the market for a long time. Dropped down to $120,000, sat on the market for a long time. I went and offered them $90,000 and they took it. No questions asked. It was awesome. Third, keep it clean, guys. Keep it clean. I'm not talking about swearing. So what that means is keeping it clean and clear of contingencies. Now, this could be a long conversation and we don't have a ton of time, but keeping it clean means this. It means that if you were making an offer on a deal and you were like, okay, I'm going to offer you $100,000, but I needed 2 weeks to come and inspect the property. I need my partner to come look at it. Then I have to go get a really weird loan on the property. And then if the loan doesn't go through, I'm going to back out, right? Those are called contingencies and they're very common. But what would be better? Let's say you were selling your house and somebody came to you and said that. And what if somebody else came to you and said, hey, I can pay you $90,000, but I can close tomorrow. And I promise I'm going to close, or I'm going to give you $1,000. Now that's a clean offer. It means it's very simple, very clean. The danger in that, though, is you need to make sure you do your homework before you make an offer. If you make basically that means you need to know what the conditions like. If you're not going to put an inspection contingency in your offer, you need to make sure you know the condition before you go and make that offer. Does that make sense? Keeping offers clean is a good way to get somebody to like your offer and to accept a lower price. Another option, their price, your terms. This works really well for people who are not with real estate agents. In other words, like a private seller. So let's say you're talking to a seller and they're like, I just really need or $400,000 for this property. And you're like, in your head, you're like, that's just not going to work for me. But what if they were stuck on that number, 400,000? But what if you said, hey, I can give you your $400,000, but I need you to carry the financing on it for 2 years. So I can get in there and I can do the work and I can flip the property. And the seller said, okay, well, at least as long as I get my 400,000, I'm happy. Right? That's what a lot of people do. They do their price, your terms. Or, hey, okay, I can give you the $400,000, but I'm going to need you to pay all of my closing costs and give me a credit for $30,000 for repairs after I close. Okay. But some people are just stuck on that number. They just like that number that they have. All right. Number 5 is my favorite tip. It's called the family photo. And it involves actually sending a family photo. I know this sounds cheesy, but hear me out. Sending a family photo with your offer. So remember at the beginning of this webinar, I explained to you guys how I have some friends that kept getting beat out over and over and over of their deal. And I told them this one little tip to get an offer accepted. Here's the deal. I told them, hey guys, when next time you submit an offer, put a letter with it that says, hi, my name's Jake and this is Chelsea and we're a young couple trying to buy our first house. And here's, and we really love your house. I love the character of the front porch and we'd really love to buy this. Let me know if we can, or, hopefully we can make this work. Thanks, Jake and Chelsea. And then I was like, actually take a picture and put your picture on the letter. And they did exactly what I said. And here's the deal. The agent, they got their offer accepted and the agent called them and said, you guys aren't going to believe this, but the sellers actually got a higher priced offer, a much higher priced offer. They went with yours because of the picture and because of the letter, because they liked you. Real estate at the end of the day is still a people game. At the end of every seller is a person who has a mom and a dad and they have kids and they got a family and they got they're just people, right? And I'm not saying take advantage of that, but utilize that. Show them who you are. This tip has worked for me numerous times, including that deal I told you earlier that they were asking for that 5-plex that I got for $90,000. Guess what I did on that one? Family photo. Next one, a multiple offer. A multiple offer. What that means is you can offer, this works better also in when you're dealing with people that are selling on their own instead of an agent, but it can work either way, is give them a couple options. Say, I can give you $100,000 for your property and close in 10 days, all cash, or I can give you $105,000 if you carry the contract. Right? Now you're giving them 2 options. Now, why is this so powerful? The same reason McDonald's has small, medium, and large, or supersize me, right? You supersize things. Why? It's because when you give people multiple options, or even better example, Starbucks, right? Why does Starbucks have so many different choices like venti, grande, tall? It's because when you're given choices, you don't compare the price to outside things. Nobody goes to Starbucks, or very few people go to Starbucks and say, I'm not going to pay $4 for a cup of coffee. They say, okay, $2, $3, or $4. Okay, I'm going to spend $3, right? People do that all the time. They don't even think about the fact that you can get a cup of coffee for 15 cents if you make it yourself, or over at the 7-Eleven for 50 cents, right? Multiple offers make people not consider other offers. They just consider between the 2 of yours. This actually works really well as well when you're selling properties. You sell a property and say, hey, this property is $400,000, or it's $410,000 if you would like a new heat pump. Right? Because now people aren't saying, well, that house over there is 400, but that one's 500 and that one's 300. They're saying, okay, we got 2 options. Which one do we pick? It's kind of a cool little technique. And last one is offer again. This is one of my favorite strategies as well. When you make an offer on a property and they say no, what do most people do? They go away. They go away. What I would encourage you guys to do is put them into a rotation. Every 2 weeks, offer again, and then offer again. And even better, if you can re-offer with the exact same piece of paper, like if you're working with a real estate agent, just have them use the same paper, cross out the old number or the old date and write the new date, submit it again. Or if you're doing a private seller, cross off the old date, write the new date, and send it again. And then do that every 2 weeks. Why? Because they see the same document over and over and over, and they see the date adding up over time. It's like, man, they've been offering on this thing for 3 weeks, for 6 weeks, for 12 weeks, for 3 months, right? And eventually, there's a good chance that when they're willing to go down in price, they're going to come to you first. So those are my 7 sneaky tips for getting your offer accepted. Hopefully those things help you guys as well. If you guys have more ideas, let me know in the chat area if you got more cool ideas as well. And that's what we're going to talk about. Let's see. Jason said, got to go tuck in my photoshopped kids into bed. Don't make it up, But that's my 7 sneaky tips. We're doing some Q&A. Remember, guys, I'm not a CPA, lawyer, doctor, or your mom, so use common sense. I'm just giving you guys my opinion. And with that, final bonuses, and let's do some Q&A. So questions, go ahead and ask them while I'm doing these final bonuses. Bonus number 1, I mentioned this earlier. I'll say it again now. Go to biggerpockets.com/books. biggerpockets.com/books. Bonus 2 and 3. You get the entire slide deck from today's webinar going to biggerpockets.com/426 slides. Again, biggerpockets.com/426 slides. And you can get the 7 years of 7-figure wealth book by going to biggerpockets.com/7 years. biggerpockets.com/7 years. All right, guys, I'm going to leave this page up for a little bit, and I'm going to do some Q&A. I'll answer whatever I can tell you guys. A couple questions. First of all, Danielle said, I signed up for Pro a couple weeks ago. Do I still qualify? Yeah, just go to biggerpockets.com/webinar/bonus, and then enter in code 426, and it will actually give you all the bonuses as well if you are an annual member. And if not, you can upgrade to annual there as well. All right. Let's see what other questions we got here. Let's see. Let's see. Hey, Maria said we are in escrow right now because we were the first. Maria, fist bump. You can't see me, but that's what I'm doing. Tammy said I'm a pro now. Let's see what else we got here. Awesome. Congratulations. Jason said a lot of the times the opening bid is already out of your budget. That's very possible, Jason, and that's okay too. Like when you're dealing with properties for sale, what that might mean is you need to look in a different area. It might mean you need to adjust your strategies to maybe go outside the MLS. You need to go and maybe send some letters. That fourplex that I bought, I didn't get that deal on the MLS. I got that deal by sending direct mail letters. If you want to know more about direct mail, go to biggerpockets.com/direct mail, and I got a guide there that'll help you with it. All right, let's see what else you got here. Let's see. Scott said, I became a real estate agent to be the first to know about deals before others even find out about them. I love that tip, Scott. I love that. Yeah, if you guys are thinking about becoming an agent, it's probably a really good idea. I mean, it's not cheap. It's a couple $1,000, but you get some cool tools with it. All right, other questions here. Catherine said, what if you're older and don't have babies? Catherine, doesn't matter. I mean, obviously babies help. If you have puppies or cats, that helps too. It doesn't matter though. I mean, really, it's about being real. Don't send a professional stock photo looking picture. I mean, it looks like you took it at Olin Mills or something. Just send a fun picture of yourself. Let people know the real you. You don't have to have kids necessarily, but just make it be the real you. All right, what else we got here? Michael said the market in Washington is hot, so inventory is low. The market everywhere is hot, guys. Market everywhere is hot. But I live in Washington. I'm buying deals, right? Because I'm hustling. Are you hustling? Go out there and find how to find deals. You got to get creative in today's market. You got to get creative. Haley said, I pay cash and I'm still getting outbid. Then maybe you need to look, maybe find a different source. Find where people aren't looking for deals. Maybe that means driving for dollars, direct mail marketing. You're going to have to get creative to find deals today. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. SKG said, super tips. Thanks. Deb said, awesome webinar. Thanks. Hey, thanks, guys. Cody said, can we do another analysis? Sure, I don't mind doing that. Let's go a couple more minutes. I'll do some more Q&A. Remind me, we'll try to do one more analysis here before we get out of here tonight. Marlon said, what's the best resource to use for getting the ARV? That I would say a real estate agent. Ask a real estate agent for comps. Say, hey, can I get some comps? And they'll send you them right away. If an agent won't do that, they're a crappy agent. Get another one. Peter said, what are the benefits of multifamily versus single family? Some people love single, some love multi. Multifamily are nice because you have more units under one roof. So, for example, let me ask you guys a question. Would you rather buy 50 single family houses and do 50 loan applications, go through 50 financing things, 50 inspections, 50 everything, or buy one 50-unit apartment complex? Depends, right? A lot of you guys are thinking it would be easier just to buy one 50-unit apartment complex, but other people are saying, no, I'd rather own 50 single-family houses because those are going to go up in value faster than multifamily, which may or may not be true, but it kind of depends, right? I like both, but I like multifamily because it's scalable. All right, let's see what else we got here. David said, so you make offers without ever seeing the property? So yes, David, I do. However, I don't do it just blindly. I wrote a blog. Let me actually show you guys something. Let me see if I can find it. If you guys go to Google, google.com and type in make offers, sight unseen, BiggerPockets, Brandon. Let me see if I can find it. There he is. It's called How and Why I Offer on Properties Sight Unseen. I'm going to put a link to this in the chat room at the top of the chat room right now. It's an article that explains how I do that. Because I do a lot of my offers sight unseen, but I have a kind of a process for doing that. So check it out. Top of the chat room. There's a link there I wrote to how to make offers on properties sight unseen. Check that out. Gavin said, what makes multifamily scalable is single not scalable. Well, so single family houses, the more you get, the more difficult it is to get loans on them. In fact, most banks will only let you have 10. And besides, if you wanted to buy 1,000 single family houses, that's a lot of loan applications. That's a lot of inspections. That's a lot of work. It's not scalable to buy 1,000 houses. Very few people in the world could ever buy 1,000 houses. But could you buy a 1,000-unit apartment complex? Sure. You can buy 1,000 units. That's what's scalable is you can buy fewer properties but more units. Lynn said, is it helpful to be a realtor to find deals faster? It definitely can be. There are some risks to being a realtor, not risks, but there are some downsides to being a real estate agent, but I think it is a good idea. I do not have my license, but a lot of people do. Let's see. Valencia said, I was reading in your No and Low Money Down, where one of your interviews, he did his investing on notes. What are notes, and have you had a webinar on it? So Valencia, I have not done a webinar on notes only because I'm not very experienced with them. I've done a little bit of note investing, but this is what note investing is. I'll give you a real life example. I had a buddy who wanted to buy a property, but he didn't have any money. So I gave him $86,000 to buy this property. And he wrote what's called, where we signed a promissory note. What that promissory note says is, I, Robert, promise to pay you, Brandon, X percent interest every month, a payment of X dollars. It's like $650 a month I think I'm making. I think I'm charging him 8% only because he's a friend. 8% interest, $650 a month for the next 2 years, and then I'll pay you back the entire amount. So now I have a note. Now every month I make money from this. So what some people do is they actually buy and sell those notes. In other words, I could go to you and be like, hey, Valencia, I've got a note here for $86,000. Every month I get paid 8%. Well, every year I get paid 8% interest. Do you want to buy this note from me? I'll sell it to you for $86,000. And then Valencia, you say, sure, I'll do that. So now you become a lender, basically. You own the note. And so that can be, that's basically how notes work. A lot of people buy notes from banks. Like every time you get a mortgage, that's a note. Same thing. Note investing can be a very, very passive way to invest in real estate, but there are some complications there. So we are actually at BiggerPockets working on a book. That won't be out for a couple of years probably because it's slow, but a slow process. But somebody is writing a book on note investing, I believe. All right, next we got here. Let's see. Elder said, hey, Brandon, first of all, thank you for your webinars. I'm a realtor in Los Angeles, and I'm utilizing my resources for mail campaigns. Awesome. I've sent approximately 500 letters to condo owners in the area, and approximately 12 people replied back saying they would be interested in selling their unit. What would be the next step? I mean, really the next step is just building relationships with those people, talking to them, saying, hey, great. You want to sell your property? Can I come look at it? What are you looking for in price? Actually, Elder, let me give you something that might help you and anybody else here. Let me give you my exact call script that I use. If I can find it. One of the benefits of being a pro member is you get unlimited downloads in the file place, but even free members can download a few things. Let me find my file. I actually, let's see. Where is it? Call intake form. There it is. Okay, I'm going to actually put this in the chat area for everyone to see if you want to get the call intake form. But this is what I do whenever somebody calls me. I answer these questions. I'm putting it at the top of the chat room. Go ahead and grab it there. But really, you just want to talk to them. You want to get certain bits of information like how much do you want for the property? Where is it located? Then you're going to run the numbers on all of those 12. And you're going to determine how much you should pay for each of those 12. And then your next step, you're going to offer every one of those 12 people a number. Now, most of them are going to say, no way, that I would never take that low, right? But you don't need everyone to say yes. You just need one to say yes. And can you get 1 out of 12 to say yes? I don't know. Let's find out. There's only one way to know. I typically get about 1 out of every 10 offers accepted, personally. So I would encourage you, analyze those deals, find the number that makes sense, go make some offers. All right. Let's see. Alejandro said, I became an agent and got my first house thanks to BiggerPockets. Dude, congratulations. That's so cool. Anybody else buy a house recently or a property in the last couple months or anything you want to brag about? I'd love to give you guys shout outs too. Chris said, am I too old to do this? I'm 64 years old and I love real estate. Dude, no. Do you know they say that people that are like under like 70 today are likely going to live until they're like 90 or 100? And people that are under like 40 today are going to live to like 120. Like the next 10 years are going to be amazing for medical advancements. Dude, you're going to live like 50 more years. You've got like half your life ahead of you. Go crush it. And then you're going to have an amazing retirement. I built up my portfolio from 0 to 20. Well, I was 20 from 0 to roughly $1 million. It took me less than 10 years to do so. So, and you got a whole lot more tools than I have. You have way more experience than you have way more like people, way more life experience ahead of you or behind you. Man, you got so many benefits to that, dude. No matter how old you are, go out there and crush it. All right. RR305 said, is that like an R2D2 type name? Are you a robot? That's so cool. Did you create an LLC for your rentals or how are you covered? Well, so here's the deal with LLCs. So LLCs protect you from getting sued and losing all of your assets. If you don't have any assets, then personally, I don't think they're that important. I do have LLCs because I have assets. And so I have LLCs in like 5 or 6 or 7 of them, something like that. And I have all my properties inside of those. Nick said, thanks for the presentation. Thanks, Nick, for coming. That's awesome. Let's see what else we got here. Fang asked me if I can analyze this one. Let's find out. Let me see if they give me enough information to analyze it. You guys want to analyze a multifamily again? Oh, I said I would analyze well, hold on. So I could analyze that one. But I really want to do a single family because people want to know that. So I'm going to do a single family, but Fang, do me a favor. Analyze a deal yourself. Run the numbers on it. Everybody gets free. Analyze a deal. Let me know what you think. And then let me know if that deal is a good deal. All right, other questions. Scott said, Alex, I'm an agent. Ask an agent if they invest in real estate. If not, don't take advice from them. Most don't know, like Brandon said. Very good advice, Scott. Love that. Craig said, if you spread out single units in different markets, you can reduce negative market trends when the market drops. That's true. That said, when the market drops, it tends to drop everywhere. But that is true. When you invest in multiple areas, it kind of spreads your risk out a little bit. So good advice there. Erica said, do you have any tips for raising rent after purchase? Sure. I mean, that's an important thing to do, right? First of all, you want to make sure you're not raising rent above where people would go and get cheaper other places. Let me give you an example. Let's say you bought a property and average rent was $600 a month. If you raise the price to $900 a month, first of all, they're going to leave, and then you're not going to find somebody else to rent the property unless the properties all around it are all $900 because nobody's going to move just to keep their rent the same, right? People are only going to move if they can save money by moving. So make sure you understand how much the rent really is before you start raising it. Secondly, provide amazing customer service. People will pay more if you provide better service. So maybe do something really nice to them, like, hey, I'm going to paint your house, or I'm going to fix this up, or hey, I'm a new owner and we have to raise the price because, I just can't afford to pay it. So we're going to just treat you really well. We're going to fix all your problems right away. Unlike the last guy who sucked, I'm going to take care of you. But because of that, I'm going to have to raise the rent a little bit. And then just be nice about it. Also, one other tip, when you raise the rent, give them an option. Remember earlier we talked about that tip for buying, give people multiple offers. The same thing works for raising rent. Don't say, hey, I'm raising your rent $50 a month. Say, hey, we need to raise the rent a little bit, but you can help decide how much. If you want to sign a 5-year lease, we'll only raise the rent by $50 a month. If you want to sign a 1-year lease, we'll raise it by $100 a month. If you don't want to sign a lease at all, we're going to raise it $200 a month. Right now, all of a sudden, they're deciding between different options. Anyway, I talk more about that in the book on managing rental properties, which you can pick up at Amazon or on BiggerPockets.com/rental book. All right. Other questions here. Oh, by the way, somebody asked, when does this coupon code expire? Expires on Friday night, which means if you're watching this live, it's April 26th at, what are we at, 2:39 Hawaii time? This expires in 2.5 days from now. No, wait, 1.5? 2.5 days from now it expires. So make sure you guys get in before that. Coupon code expires by then. All right. Marco said, will you please repeat how to get the slides and the 7 years and 7-figure wealth book? Sure. Right here. BiggerPockets.com/426 slides and BiggerPockets.com/ Chad said, what are some of the downsides of being an agent and an investor? A couple of things that come to mind. First of all, if you're an agent and an investor, your focus is split on two things, being an agent and being an investor, where I would rather be focused in on one thing, being an investor. Secondly, being an agent costs a couple $1,000s a year, but as long as you're active as an agent and an investor, that shouldn't be a problem. You should make more than that. Also, you do have to, when you're like marketing, you do have to say you're an agent. That's not a big deal, but just FYI. Other than that, the reason I don't have my license because it's a 100-hour class and I don't have time to take it. That's really about it. I'm being lazy. All right. Let's see. Let's do a couple more questions. Blake said, do the calculators retain all the properties you analyze? How many and for how long? Yeah, actually, they save all of them forever. So that's actually another nice thing I didn't mention about the calculators earlier. But, not only I used to use a spreadsheet, right? And I had like 100 spreadsheet files all over my computer and I would lose them and I couldn't keep track of them. But what's cool about the BP calculators is that it keeps track of all the deals you've analyzed. It keeps them in there. You can go back to them later in the future and you can reanalyze things based on what your numbers are. It keeps it all really nice and organized inside your BiggerPockets account. I love that. John said, I'm in with Pro. That's awesome, John. Welcome. Let's see. Lee said, I bought 6 units in March. That's awesome. Bill said, yes, I bought a duplex. That's awesome. What else do we got here? Jonatus or John Atis said 2 properties under contract right now. Dude, that's awesome. Congratulations on that. Paul said, I'm 68, working at it, never too old. I love it. Oh, yeah, I'm going to analyze another deal. Let's do that before we get done. Oh, you guys, check this out. Jeremy said, yep, BP inspired me to pick up my first duplex. We close in 2 weeks. Dude, that's awesome, Jeremy. Very, very cool. Let's see. Frank and Robin said, we're in. That's awesome. Welcome, Frank and Robin. Very, very cool. And there's a lot of questions. You guys are awesome. You guys are active. Chris said, I have about $500,000 to invest in real estate. Dude, be careful, but that's awesome. But people with money tend to make stupid mistakes. So just make sure you're not making stupid mistakes. Don't let your money make you lazy. Michael said, good tenants are worth money. That is true. Yeah, I sometimes don't raise the rent if they're a really good tenant. Let's see. Let's do one more question, then we're going to do another deal analysis. Chris said, I just remortgaged and I got all my deposit back. The magic is starting. Dude, that's awesome. If you guys don't know what he's talking about, go check out my webinar I did on Burr investing. It's such if you go up here to education, go down to webinars and go over to webinar archive, you're going to land here on the BiggerPockets Pro webinar replay room. Scrolling down here, you can see the webinars like how to make $1 million through real estate, hour and 36 minutes. You can even listen to them if you want. They're also here on SoundCloud. How to quit your job through the power of real estate. How to achieve massive success using the buy, rehab, rent, refinance strategy. BRRRR. This is the one you guys want to watch. If you guys want to know a really sexy way to invest in real estate, check this BRRRR thing out. How to analyze rental properties for maximum cash flow, using duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes to find financial freedom, and so on and so forth. All right. So, by the way, I'm noticing this too. Do you guys see these little icons are popping up? There's something wrong with my computer. That's why, like, all my images look funky, and why I can't upload photos. There's something wrong with my computer, I think. Has anybody else seen that on their BiggerPockets account? Is it a BP thing or is it a me thing? I can't tell. Lynn said, have to run. Dancing with the Stars is on. LOL, just kidding. That's awesome. Let's see. Jennifer said, was the webinar recorded? I hope so. If it worked out okay, I'll send out a link here shortly. Sheila said, I'm pro now. Thank you for the webinar. Big question. How is everyone financing their deals? So Sheila, my main way of financing is I use private money. And then I refinance it later with a bank loan, basically like a portfolio lender. And you can find more about that here on this webinar on how to achieve massive success using the BRRRR strategy. Podcast got me through doing my own rehabs when I first bought rental properties in 2014. Kept me motivated while digging out and replumbing an entire house. Dude, that's awesome. Overall, my most listened to podcast. Thank you. That's awesome. That's good to know. I love listening to podcasts when I'm working. I did a lot of my own work. Shelly said calculator had the same issue for her too. Okay, so it is just a BP bug tonight. I'll get that fixed tonight. Thanks for letting me know. Let's see. Park said, I'm planning to rent my house, but I've not refinanced for the next house. That's okay. You can rent it anyway. You can refinance anytime, but it is easier to refinance when you're in the house, when you're living there. Valencia said, yeah, it must be BP because in my Chrome browser too. All right, good to know that it's a BP issue. I'll get that fixed tonight. I'll talk to my developer. All right, guys, so let's do one more deal, analyze together. Let's go over here, and this time we'll do a single family house. So let's go ahead and search my area again. This time I'm going to not do single family. I'm going to do, or multi, I'm going to do just single. Let's turn off multi. Now there's some really cheap ones here in my area for like 34 grand, or we can go the most expensive ones, which is 750 for that one, 449, 429, 389. But I like the cheap ones, right? I actually like kind of middle of the road, but let's go look at these ones. I don't care about that one. Sumner Avenue, horrible area. South Mill Street, not a horrible area, not a bad price, not a bad looking house. Let's look at this thing together. So here's the house from the outside. Backyard, oh, they're not going to give me any interior pics. That's annoying. I hate it when they don't show me any inside pics. I don't want to analyze a deal if they're not going to show me an inside pic. If you're an agent, you're not putting inside pics, shame on you. All right. Sumner, I don't like it. West First, I don't like that street. West Second, that's okay. Let's see. Aberdeen Avenue, that's okay. Huntley, here's a new one. I don't want 2-bedroom, 1-bath. No way. I don't like 2-bedroom houses. They don't rent for very much. They don't sell for very much. So that rules out all of those. That's a weird looking one right there. So here's $90,000 for a 5-bedroom, 2-bath house on West 2nd. And there are internal pictures. So let's look at this property. Bring back the grandeur and beauty of this 1918 home. With 5 bedrooms, 1.75 baths, the possibilities are limitless. Have all your cousins visit for the holidays, perhaps live on the first floor and rent the upstairs after... Oh, check this out, guys. Live on the first floor and rent the upstairs. After all, it comes in separate electric meters. You guys, this is a duplex that the agent didn't categorize as a duplex, it sounds like. That's kind of interesting. Why is my pictures not loading? Probably because I'm on a webinar and it's using all my bandwidth to talk to you guys. There's some pictures inside. So it looks like kind of like this house needs some work. Yeah, okay. So some of these are kind of blurry. All right, let's see. Pet in the house. So somebody's living there right now. Have your tea on the enormous front porch. Oh, I'm sure I will. All right, why don't we analyze this deal together, guys? Well, let's pretend this is not a duplex for the fun of it, because I told you I would do a single-family house. So let's go ahead and analyze this together. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go to Tools, and this time I'm going to use the BRRRR calculator. We're going to buy it, rehab it, rent it out, refinance, and repeat our process. So let's start a new report here. And I'm going to call this one the 1619 West 2nd house in Aberdeen. Property address 1619 West 2nd, Aberdeen, Washington, 9520. Property taxes. They tell us here what property taxes are. Hey, should we go try my county again? Let's just see if my county happens to show up. 1619. Let's just search for that. 1619, Bay Avenue, Bel Air, Don, Harding, Morgan, B Street, Pacific, 2nd Avenue. But we want 2nd Street. There it is. 1619 2nd Street. Man, I've never used this before. It's weird. Let's see what it looks like. Ooh, fancy. They got new stuff. All right, so we can see that the total value, the county thinks it's worth $63,000. I can see taxes are how much? Where are my taxes? I'm assuming it's going to be the assessor. There's what the taxable value is. Man, I got to figure out how to use this new site. Let's see. What am I missing? It's got to be here somewhere, right? I'm going to go back to realtor.com if I can't find it here because I don't want you guys watching me try to find it. I might have to call up my county appraiser and be like, dude, where is it at now? Because you moved it. There's some pictures. That's kind of nice. Oh, fancy. All right. Well, I don't see it there. I don't see it there. Let's see if it's on this one. And if not, I'm going to go back to Realtor and look at theirs. Oh, fancy. Oh, look at them doing all this fancy stuff. All right. Well, whatever. I'm going to have to look later. Appraisal. Did we try that yet? All right, I'm giving up. I'll find it later. I think. Okay, I'll find it later. So we're going to go over here and look at Realtor.com and see what they say. Because they probably have it right, but I never like to judge them. $157 a month in taxes. 157 times 12 is $1,884 in taxes. $1,884 in taxes. Property photo, I'm not going to do it because I don't want it to not work on me again. I don't know if maybe there's a bug on the system tonight. I actually have like 6 developers that work full-time in BiggerPockets, but every once in a while we still have a bug. All right, purchase price. We're going to buy this thing for how much did they want for it? $90,000, $90,000. It's worth, after it's all fixed up, probably about $120,000. Closing cost, I'll say $3,000. Repair cost, we're probably going to need to put a good $15,000, maybe $20,000 into this thing. And if you want help with that, check this out. You can expand it. And actually, it helps you. Roof, concrete, gutters, garage, siding, landscaping, exterior painting, etc. All right, how are we going to buy it? Why don't we buy this one, the original, why don't we get a loan from a private lender for $90,000? And we're going to pay them 10% interest. And it's an interest-only loan. And 12 months later, we're going to refinance. We're going to spend 3 months working on the deal. The loan that we refinance to, we're going to get a brand new loan for $90,000 at 5%. We're going to spend about $3,000 on the refi or $2,000 on the refi. Amortized over 30 years, and that's it for step 2. Step 3, we're going to rent this thing for about $1,000 a month. We're not going to pay any of these things except for insurance, which will run about $75 a month. I'll do 5, 5, 5, and 9 again, and 2, 2, 2, and 9. Now, I know if you guys are just joining us and you just watched that, I flew through that. But spend some more time on it, figure it out. What do you guys think? Good deal, bad deal? Good deal or bad deal? Based on the numbers we just calculated, monthly cash flow of $44 a month, or 2% cash-on-cash return. I don't like that at all. Let's go back and edit the report and find out how we can make this better. Proceed. Next step. Instead of paying $90,000 for it, what if we paid not $7,000? That'd be nice. We paid $70,000 for it. Meaning our loan, we'll drop that down to $70,000 as well. And our new loan will drop down to $70,000 as well. With that, in 30 seconds, we can actually reanalyze the deal, and we're going to look for the number that makes sense on this deal. All right, now at this point, we're looking at $152 a month in cash flow and a 7% cash-on-cash return. 7% cash-on-cash return. You know what? Still not good enough for me. Let's go back and edit it one more time. I mean, remember, like every property has a number that makes sense for it, so we're just trying to find that number. In this case, instead of 70, what if I offered him 60 instead? What if our loan then was for 60, and our refinance loan was for 60. In fact, what if our refinance loan was for 70? That should bump up my ROI a little bit. Let's calculate that result. Here we go. Where are we at? Now we're looking at $152 a month in cash flow and a 12% cash on cash return. Now this is looking a lot better. Now I might buy it at $60,000. Maybe I'll buy this deal. I can scroll down. I can see that if I bought this property, then 10 years from now, maybe sold it, my total profit might be $80,000 and my annualized average return was 20% per year. That's a really good return. 20% per year. I like that a lot. Now I might decide, you know what? I think I'm going to buy this, and then I might buy it. So that's how we analyze deals. I want to encourage you guys, though, go and do it on your own. Let me turn my camera on. Hopefully you guys don't lose me, but I want to encourage you guys to go do that. All right. So I would encourage you guys, go play with the numbers. See what you guys think. Like say, hey, is this deal good in my area? Like, I don't know your area. Like, I don't know how to find on your county, how to find your taxes. I don't even know how to find it on mine yet. I got to go figure that out later. But once you figure it out, then you know it. It's just like walking, right? You take a couple steps, take a couple more, or just like surfing. I've been doing a ton of surfing. You see the tan. We're going to call it tan. We're not going to call it sunburn. We're going to do a little bit of surfing. You like the first time I got on a surfboard, like, man, I didn't know how to do anything. Like I could barely even keep the thing from wobbling. The second time I could keep it from wobbling, but I couldn't like do anything. The third time I could do a little bit. Fourth time, fifth time, 10th time. Today I could ride a wave all the way into the shore like fairly often. Every time you do it, you get a little bit better at it. So I would encourage you guys, go out there and start analyzing some deals. Try to make it happen. Figure out what price makes sense on the next deal that you do. That's what I would encourage you to do. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to head out of here. I got to go. And I'm going to go spend some time in Hawaii with my family because that's what I do. So thank you so much for being here today. If I did not give you a shout out, I'm so sorry. I do think you're awesome if you went pro today. If you want to go pro, remember that coupon code expires on Friday night, so make sure you upgrade by then. And I don't know. That's all I got for you. See you guys next week. Next week, we're talking about how to find deals. It's going to be a powerful webinar, so I hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much. If you have questions, I did not get to, go to BiggerPockets.com/forums, BiggerPockets.com/forums, and ask there. There are people there that volunteer. Thousands of people that volunteer their time to help answer questions, and they're way smarter and way more experienced than I could ever hope to be. The BiggerPockets forums are a fantastic place to be able to connect with people. So I'd highly recommend doing that. And there you go. I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for being a part of this webinar. Sign up next week by going to BiggerPockets.com/webinar. I'll see you guys there. Take care.